stripped and abused of their humanity for 300, 400 years. And then after that, they're free and they're still suffering. What you think, all of that trauma is just going to go away with the whistle of the wind. And people want to tell me that slavery still doesn't exist, or, well, it does, but I'm not going to go into that. But like, the effects of slavery shouldn't affect us. That's why people are killing each other off. Our brothers and sisters are killing each other off. Why we are getting involved in gangs. Why we are denigrating ourselves, call each other bitch and hoes and all of this other stuff I hate. And it's just another example of how we are passing on the trauma, and that we need to heal, and other reasons why we need to heal.
Yeah, and it's like you said, I can only explain from personal experience of something that I've been through, like the death of my father. I haven't fully dealt with that. And now I'm kind of getting to a point where I can feel comfortable, where I can kind of deal with it, is where I'm seeing more successes in my personal life. If I can't face my demons, I can't go further in life. And it's the same with, it's not facing your demons, but it's kind of like, if someone needs help in school, extra help, then you would have like a helper in class that would give them the extra help. So why, since we were freed, and they were like, well, you're free now, go on. And we were like, well thanks, but can't you, like, you know, like, I don't know, not like we need reparations, but reparations would have been nice, but not maybe in the monetary value, but in the recovery kind of point of view.
100%. Like, everybody should be getting therapy. I don't even know if that was seen as a thing back then, but not even just monetarily when you talk about reparations.
Yeah, 100%.
And even that debt is like trillions of dollars, like trillions of dollars. That's a US term. Trillions of pounds, whatever. So much is in debt to us for the economy booming, industrial revolution from the backs of cotton and all of this stuff. As I said before, then going into India and partitioning that and colonizing. Anyway, then the scramble for Africa. There's so much to share that we are in debt. They are in debt to us. Yeah. Reparations can come in the form of building schools, hospitals,
and that's what I mean.
Communal event areas. This, that, and the other. And sorry, I lost the point.
That was I don't remember where I started, to be honest.
You talk about your father, and
I was just talking about how, like, I feel like there's parts of me that I use kind of poetry and talking to people as my therapy. And as much as that's helpful to me, I feel like if I maybe spoke to someone like a counselor or therapist, only because they're someone who's outside of my own personal circle and they can give an outside opinion and thoughts on what I have, what's going on, as opposed to someone that's so close to me. And although they might tell me something that's opposite to what I believe, it's still something that's kind of pandering to me because they know me. Yeah.
I think the problem is, one, I'm seeing a therapist at the moment.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
I've got a lot of things that I need to work on in myself, and I have no shame in saying, like, I need somebody that I can just talk to.
Yeah.
And I think if we as communities listened more to each other and we didn't interject and we didn't put our own opinions on other people's lives, we wouldn't need therapy. If we had a good network of people where I can be like, look, I just need to let this off an hour. Cry. Hug. Cry some more. Hug. Okay, I feel a lot better now. If we had that on a regular basis, we wouldn't need therapy, I don't think. True. But then there is also other therapeutic ways that we can release our stress and our feelings and our whatever. Spending time in nature. whether it's working in a garden, going for a walk, hugging a tree, you know, whether it is dancing, whether it is writing. It doesn't even have to be creatively, but it could just be writing in a journal. For like the most time, before I started writing as a poet, for 5-6 years, I was just writing in my journal. When I was in drama school, I had a terrible day. I found it very hard to speak about my emotions, so I wrote it down. You know, that was therapy for me. You said that, you know, you write, you say that you talk. Talking, having these conversations, having the hard conversations with family members. As I said before at the beginning of the podcast, that I've had some honest conversations with my dad when I'm talking to him as a man to man, not as a boy anymore, but letting him know, like, you know, certain ways, values that you have, like you feel like I'm not, that you don't respect necessarily. I felt like he doesn't respect my opinions or see me as somebody worthy of listening to in a way that he really deeps. I had to have those conversations with him, you know, and there were a lot of maybe frustration and stuff like that, but those are things that needs to come out.
Yeah, of course.
Otherwise they're just going to get trapped. And what happens when emotions get trapped over time?
They just come out in a big burst.
Yeah, they come out in a big burst, exploding, hurting the people that you love the most, or they store up and become diseases. Yeah. You know? I think there's a lot of science that proves the relationship to diseases and emotional trauma and just like building up or emotional stress. Yeah. Stress.
No, I 100% agree. Because there was times when it did happen. There was times when I keep things into myself. I feel like I get overly stressed. So like, if when I do get overly stressed, I'll lose my appetite. So then, for me, if I talk to people, then I can kind of keep myself sane. I've got to this point where I need to let people in, because if I don't let people in, it's gonna make myself feel worse, and I need to keep the balance of happiness, you know?
Well, yeah, and also happiness is just one state of being, right? Yeah. And we have to allow ourselves to experience all.
Oh, yeah, of course.
One thing for me, when you talk about letting people in, definitely that's something that I'm working on this year, is being able to show up for myself, but also when I'm not feeling happy or not feeling sociable, to be able to still speak to my friends and family members.
Yeah, exactly.
Because otherwise what happens is we only show up when we're happy, and then we're good when we're not feeling good. Yeah, we're back into ourselves, and that has crippled some of my friendships and my relationships in my past, and that's something that I need to work on as well.
100%. Yeah,
I hear what you're saying with that, bro.
So I'd like to go on to giving you like a little interview.
Okay.
With that.
Yeah.
So my first question would be tree with roots.
Trees with roots.
Trees with roots, yes. Sorry. Where did the name come from?
Right, so I'm a big fan of Marcus Garvey.
Okay.
I'm very big in learning about my history. As I search for my identity during school as a second generation Caribbean person living in the UK, brought up in this educational system, like a lot of us, we have a lot of self-esteem issues. We don't know where we come from. We exist in between this plane of being Caribbean and being British. So it's like, where am I? And we go to school and all we learn is about the Tudors, Shakespeare, and we develop this thing called an inferiority complex. And part of my combating that was learning about my history, learning about where I come from, Africa, before we were taken in as enslaved people. People say slaves. I prefer the term enslaved people, because we were not slaves. We were people that had lives, had cultures before we were enslaved and then taken away. So Marcus Garvey says a people without knowledge of their own history or culture is like a tree without roots. And I'm a big fan, you know? I'm a big fan of being like, look, so many of us, brothers and sisters, are trees without roots. We are so disconnected from where we come from, this earth and our heritage, that when the wind comes and the storm comes, we're just flopping around. And I prefer to call myself trees with roots, because I'm embracing my roots. That's where the name comes from.
That's beautiful, that is. And you are a poet, you're a writer, and you're a painter. So, what is your first love?
That's a beautiful question. First love, I guess performing, and I would say performing, but role playing.
Okay.
I used to love writing as well.
Mm-hmm.
I used to write so much, so probably writing first, and I used to draw a lot. And I used to spend a lot of time playing with my Lego figurines and stuff like that, role playing. And then when I went to my childminder's house, we did a lot of role playing, and I just found it so cathartic to be able to just be whoever I wanted to be. And I felt most myself when I role played. A lot of the time, I found it very hard to be myself around people, whether it's through, I feel like there was a lot of judgment within my family, a lot of lack of understanding, and so therefore I found myself being very caged in the box. I can't speak my mind, I can't do this, I can't act like this because I'll get shouted at, so what can I be? I'll just be this. And so I found a lot of release with role playing, and then my mum signed me up to a theatre school.
Cool.
Where I did a lot of lyric Hammersmith.
Oh yeah, I've heard of
Hammersmith lyric theatre. Yeah, that was my first time. I was like, oh, this is what people do. They have a script and they just play around, and this is so fun. And then I wanted to be an actor for a long while. I went to drama school up in Manchester.
Nice.
And then I decided that the industry is not something that I really love. And so I decided to go travelling, and then through travelling I rediscovered my love for writing and being an artist in general.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Great way around. Funnily enough, I'm an actor as well.
Okay, cool.
I studied close to Manchester, already not far from Liverpool. And yeah, I completely understand the whole journey of what you said. The industry, it's a funny one. I prefer to create my own stuff, so that's what I'm going to do.
Create or be around people who's working.
Who are working, yeah.
And who inspire.
Yeah, exactly. And
I found a lot of the stories that in the industry are not necessarily the ones that I want to be a part of.
Yeah, and funnily enough, speaking of generational trauma, I'm going to be in a play that's, when is it going to be done? On the 28th of March. Start rehearsals, I think, tomorrow.
Okay.
And it's basically about kind of the conversation that kind of elderly people, people from the elder generation don't have with people of the younger generation. So like people of the younger generation feel like they're going through something that people of the elder generation can't relate to them on, because it's not the same of what they were going, what they went through back in the day. But if you really deep it, what the elder generation went through to do with crime and stuff like that back in the day is not much dissimilar to what is happening right now with knife crime. So it's mainly about the elder generation having the conversation with the younger generation so that they can understand that it's just, the only difference is we talk about it now and you just didn't talk about it back then.
I think it takes two to tango. I think it's not, I think it's easy to say it's this person needs to be doing that and that person needs to be doing that. I think young people need to have more respect and understand and give more of an ear and just respect for the elders.
But it's like
and elders need to do the same for the younger generation.
But it's like you're saying about listening. If no one's listening to each other, two people can be talking but nothing's really getting settled.
100%. There's a big gap between the generations. And as you said, what the elders went through with the racism, the violence and stuff like that, if we had a big connection and a bridge between the two and what they were doing, what we had the elders before, that's not so much a thing anymore. If we had that, then we would be guiding each other and half of us wouldn't be as lost as we are today, I believe.
That's what the company that is doing the play, they're called Bridge the Gap.
The Gap.
They do a lot of work with young people and try and have elderly people. They work a lot with performers and poets and try and bridge that gap.
Right.
But yeah, so what kind of things do you draw?
Can I just pause this and go to the
Yes, you can.
real quick, yeah.